Perfect. Somebody's got my back. Well, I appreciate y'all having me in. And I think Kathy did a good job explaining. Kathy, how long do we have right now? Plus or minus?
You tell me.
You tell me.
About 20 minutes.
All right, 20 minutes. Cool. All right, I'm going to bore y'all for 18 and a half, and I'm going to challenge you to find the nuggets for 1.5 of the minute. You better pay attention for all 20 because you don't know where it's going to be, though.
There's a handout I can pull down, like with the stuff about what that
I'm going to, yeah, but I'm going to get there. And if I don't get there, remind me. So.
there's just like a download.
All right, so it is under sales tools and business gifts if you want to start digging, because I was going to have to do that live, so it'd probably be better to not.
Yeah, no, go for it.
So a little bit of background. I don't really like to talk about myself, so y'all will probably pick up on that if you haven't already. But I do, when I take advice from somebody, it's important to me that I know who they are and what they've done, and that they also know what I'm trying to do, right? So a little bit of background. I actually sold about $600,000 while I was in school. And I owe Cutco I owe everything that I know about business appreciation and gifting to what I learned in my time now. I have had a $43,000 push. I've had a $12,000 day, not counting gifting. So that's a little bit about what I have done. And then again, just so you know, like kind of what I'm teaching, I've sold to the McNairs that own the Texans, the football team. Cadence Bank, it's about a $17 billion bank. We have some lenders doing $15,000 to $20,000 a year. So this year alone, I've wrote probably 45 grand of gifts to lenders, residential lenders, in 3 clients. And they reorder that every single year. Okay, so I've sold probably about $400,000 of gifts total in my career. So who do you know, or who in here knows somebody that owns a business or helps run them? Okay, cool. Let's get, what type of business? Realtors, surgery center, used car dealer, catering from the back. What else from the back? Let's get 1 or 2 from the back. Catering. What else? Recycling. Okay. There was an idea of how many clients or employees that business might have.
In what range of time?
That they could be gifting right now. 100. Okay, and is that clients or employees? Clients. Okay. So y'all see the scale of this? The meeting that I just jumped off of, they do 128 deals a year, and they come from another 20 people, and they want to say thank you to those 20 people twice a year. Okay, so I'm not really good at math. Anybody know what the math is on that? 128 plus 20 plus 20. How many gifts is that?
168.
Who would like a 168 piece order for their push? Okay, that's what I'm saying. Okay. All right, now why does this matter? I'm going to teach you all something that doesn't even really have to do with gifting, but it'll definitely help you with corporate gifting, okay? Anybody know the most popular radio station out there of all time? Doesn't matter where it's located, just of all time. Okay, y'all might want to write this down or type this. It's the radio station WIIFT. Okay, anybody ever heard of this? Okay, Molly, tell me, you know it.
I don't remember it, but I have heard of it.
Okay. What's in it for them? It's not a radio station. Hate to ruin the joke. People always are concerned about what's in it for me. Okay. So if you want to motivate somebody, think about it from the perspective of what's in it for them. Okay. Now, how does this relate to selling business gifts? Anybody want to take a guess? Yep. Okay, how do gifts improve their business, right? Anybody ever paid taxes in here? Okay, we've all theoretically paid taxes. If you haven't, it's okay. Just raise your hand anyway. I don't want to know right now. I'm going with this, y'all, is gifts, Cutco, let's just call it Cutco, okay? When you put a logo on it, anybody know what it becomes now? It's a tax write-off, right? Does anybody know why it's a tax write-off?
Business expense.
Okay, business expense under advertising. Okay. So, and I don't want to get too complicated in this. I want to give you all really simple things that you can take away. But essentially, you just tell, if you're talking to a business owner or somebody that helps run a business, it's like, hey, well, let's go up to the very top, right? Okay. So I'm going to give you all one question that you should ask every single demo. Okay. And I would definitely write this one down and ask every single person. Mrs. Jones, do you own or help run a business? Okay. If they say no, guess what you can still ask? Who do you know, right? It's always a yes or a yes. So it's who do you know? That's another tip for y'all's referrals, by the way, whether it's a business owner or not, just who do you know that, right? If you ask somebody, do you know, their natural instinct is to say no, even if they do. So it's who do you know that owns or helps run a business, okay? The reason I ask, I'll give you a little bit of scripting. The reason I ask, if you put a logo on Cutco, it's fully tax deductible as advertising. Okay, so what's so somebody that was not a script, but now it is. So there you go. Who do you know that helps own or run a business? The reason I asked is if you put a logo on Cutco, it's fully tax deductible as advertising. Okay. Everybody get that? Who needs me to repeat it? Okay. Who has that all written down? All right, let's repeat it together. Go.
Who do you know?
Oh, all right. Mrs. Jones, who do you know that helps own or run a business? The reason I asked. Okay. So it's cool is y'all have now all said it. So the first time you say it to a client, hopefully it won't come out like you just did. I'd suggest practicing that a little bit, but one more time, it's Mrs. Jones, who do you know that helps own or that owns or helps run a business? The reason I asked is if you put a logo on Cutco for a business, it becomes fully tax deductible as advertising. Okay. Do we understand what that's actually saying? Let's say you make $100,000, right? And you're gonna already give your employee or your client a gift. Now you don't pay taxes on that. Okay. So if the business makes $100,000 and gives away $2,000 of gifts, they're not paying taxes on $2,000. So what was the most popular radio station? WIIFT, right? Now you're talking about what's in it for the business owner if they're to give Cutco to their employees or clients. Okay. Cool. What questions come up at this point? I want to check in with everybody. Okay, so the question is, when do you ask this question, right? What other questions?
How do you write it out?
Okay. Let's see. So we got when. Okay. What else? So the questions, if y'all didn't hear it, were when do we ask these questions and then how do we write it up? Okay, so the question was, is it any different for somebody that owns the business versus helps run the business, right? I'm gonna just take that one now because the answer is no. Okay. Tax laws are tax laws for everybody. Who makes the decision, how it gets made, that might vary, but very basic, how to sell corporate gifts, business gifts, no, it's the same. Good question. What else? Y'all have 10 minutes with a guy that helped run the corporate gifting program for Cutco nationally for a year. What else do you want to know? Okay, so recommendations of gifts, right? What makes a good gift? Okay. What else?
How to get them to think bigger in their gifts.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. Anything else? Same question as earlier. Who do you know that helps run a business? Own or run, right? You'll get a lot more referrals to people that help run a business. Okay. I've got one from Zoom. How do I transition from talking about the demo to pitching a bigger business gift? So okay, so I'm gonna wrap how to transition into when do we talk about them. Okay. I think that's good because we have literally like 10 minutes. So anybody ever drink out of a fire hose? 3:30 or something. I'm okay. All right, so just to recap, we're going to talk about when to talk about business gifts and how to transition, how to close and write the order, recommendations of which gifts to give, how to think bigger, and if there's any specials for buying business gifts. Okay, does that sound good? Okay, so let's do this first. Let's do this second. All right, so y'all on the Zoom, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go over when to talk about this and how to transition. Then we're gonna talk about recommendations of gifts, thinking bigger, and if there's specials. And then lastly, after you show them all that, then we close. Okay, makes sense to go through in that order. One of the things advanced, like sometimes you're like, I don't know, like I built a report for too long, but like, oh, it's 10 minutes on the dot, like let's start the demo. Anybody ever felt that? There's like talking to talk and build rapport because they feel like they have to. One of the things I learned in my business early on was the things that I need to know to recommend which pieces and sets they need. That's what I should be building rapport on. Okay. As Jones, your family portrait's nice and your kids are pretty and your grandma's ugly. I don't care. It's not genuine, right? Like it might be genuine, but like, hey, what do you do when you're not waiting for the knife guy or the knife guy? Okay. Do you love to cook? Do you cook because you have to? Do you love to cook? Do you hate to cook? How many are you setting the table for? Because guess what? I do want to talk about their family or their kids, but I also need to know how many table knives do they need, right? So why not knock all that out together? Okay. Is that making sense so far? Not to take a little detour, but one of the things you can start to ask is, what do you do when you're not waiting for the knife guy or gal? Oh, I'm a stay-at-home. Oh, I own a business. I'm a lawyer. I'm a doctor. Right? That's going to tell you on the surface, are they involved with the business? Okay. So you can kind of plant that seed early on. Did I lose anybody by going on the rant about their grandma being ugly? I'll get the point though. The things you need to know in your demo later, you can ask early on to understand where to go, right? Then depending on what they say, when you're doing your upsells, your like gadget gifting, gifts for other people, and be like, hey, remember earlier when you told me that you blank? We actually have a way to help you get a tax write-off. Would you like me to explain more? Okay. Another really simple way could be when you're asking for recommendations, y'all ask for what you want, right? Just say, hey, who do you know that helps own or run a business? And then they'll go, oh, I don't, or them, or them, or them. And then loop back and go, you don't by chance help run or own a business, do you? If you miss it through the entire demo, at the very end, your last referral question can be, who do you know that helps own or run a business? And then you can just make sure to ask them, by the way, what do you do? Do you help or run a business by chance? And then right back into here's why I asked. Okay. Is that clear? No, we like to have it clear, like do this, do this, do this, and that kind of breaks that. But if you miss it, the entire demo, you can do it when you're asking for recommendations. Typically, in my experience, you're probably going to need to set another meeting to talk about it, especially if somebody else is involved. Every once in a while, they're like, no, I make the decision. I do it all the time, blah, 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 right? So let's talk about this. How do you transition? Somebody goes, oh yeah, I do help her run one. Does that answer when to bring it up? Are we good on that? Okay. I think when you're doing gadgets and upsells and accessories, that's a good time to ask, okay? Kathy and I are gonna show y'all a brochure that you can print either electronically or print and put in your blue books. So you'll have a piece so you don't forget to ask that at each point. Like, you know, you go through your presentation and it talks about gadgets, gifts, all that. You just put it right there. Okay. I'm a Cutco dinosaur, so I used to sell out of something like this. Sold $1 million out of a little blue binder. Is anybody using blue books, or is it all electronic these days? Electronic. Well, it's a downloadable PDF, so there you go. All right, so we talked about when. The transition is just like, hey, here's the reason I'm asking. I just gave you all the script, so that's a pretty easy transition. They go, yes, I do, or why do you ask, right? You'll just transition. You say, the reason I asked, same script I gave you. So that answers the transition question, right? Now, the other thing is, do we want to sell gifts now or later, if possible?
No.
Now, right? So somebody asked, do we have specials? Of course, we always have a special. The more you get, the more you save. That's a special, right? Mrs. Jones, Mr. Jones. I love Michael's smiles, like, yeah, I'm a DM. We're always, no, he's paused. That's kind of funny. Just kidding. No, we always have a special, right? Just so you know, JYSK. Just so you know, the more you get, the more you save. This is if they help own or run a business. Okay, so Mrs. Jones, Mr. Jones, just so you know, JYSK. The more you get, the more you save. We do have some specials. You don't even have to say specials. You can just say like volume specials, right? The more you get, the more you save. And y'all, if you sell this order during push, you're gonna give them a better deal or no? Yes or no? Yeah. And so if somebody is literally like, I'm going to buy gifts, it's a done deal, 2022, somebody in my corporation is going to do this. Does anybody know the only thing between now and them buying it? What's that one thing? No matter the person, no matter the company. It's July, what's today, the 15th? 12th? Okay, what's the only thing between July 12th and when they buy the gift? Time. It's a really important concept. This is advanced sales here. But if they're going to do it, they buy gifts every single year. There's not a doubt 2022, the only thing that's between now and them doing it is time. Why would we leave time in the equation? Give them a special. Hey, because I have this contest going on, because SC2 is going on, if I could give you an even better deal, and I'm going to go back and repeat this, if I could give you an even better deal for something you already knew you were going to do, that would help me out with my contest, is that something you would consider taking a look at? Okay. It's not scripted either, but it's essentially, you know you're going to do it, and the only thing there is time. could I reward you with a better deal for helping me out during my competition? Is that something you would consider? Do I need to repeat that? Do we kind of, okay. So if you know they already give gifts, right? It's essentially, hey, if I could reward you for doing something you know you're already going to do later, because of my blank competition, because of blank, which is always some competition, some goal, some whatever. If I were to reward you for doing something you know you're going to do later, if you were to basically if you were to do it now, and I rewarded you for that, would you consider taking a look at it? Right? You already established they own and run a business. You already established that they give gifts. You've already established the tax implications. You say, can I reward you for considering something that you know you're going to do later? Would you take a look at it now? If I were to reward you with a better deal, is that something you'd consider? Is that something you'd be open to? Is that something you'd be opposed to? So that's a, if you want somebody to say yes, but yes is a hard word to get, no is a lot easier to get. See how many heads didn't shake their head yes? Point in case. If you want somebody to say yes, just ask them, is that something you'd be opposed to? They're going to tell you no. That's another way of saying yes. Basically, if time's the only thing, you know you're going to do it. I have this competition. I could give you a better deal for doing it now. That's something you'd consider. And give you a better deal because you know you're going to do it anyway, but I need it to count for this contest. Is that something you'd be opposed to? Who in here is opposed to a better deal for something they know they're going to do later? Nobody's opposed to being rewarded for something they know they're going to do anyway, right? Just makes sense. Yes or yes? Okay. All right, so that takes care of when and the transition, right? We good on that? Recommendations, the gifts, thinking bigger, specials. Okay, so specials we already talked about. This is going to get into the recommendations. I'll show you all this in a second. Thinking bigger. It's just thought joggers. Same way you thought jog more recommendations, you've got to thought jog gifts, right? I think I'm just to not get too complicated and make this message too long. I'm going to give you all two main questions. So how many questions? Two. Okay. Who are key? So I'll probably want to write these down. Who are key relationships that drive your business? Who are key relationships that drive your business? And you can get them to start thought jogging. It's kind of the same way like when you're doing gifts, you're like, hey, who's hard to shop for? And you want them to write everybody down. Same thing. Who are key relationships that drive your business? And then the second thing is whether it's clients, I'm going to teach y'all something that's just probably not going to make sense. You can just ask them and y'all are smart. You'll understand when they start answering this. Okay. Who are clients, employees, or referral partners? So who are clients, employees, or referral partners that it would really hurt to lose in your business? Who are clients, employees, or referral partners that it would really hurt to lose in your business? Okay, are we good on those two questions? Can keep moving. Anybody thoughts, questions, concerns, repeat? We're good?
I was kind of like a separate question. So what if they own a business, but they're open to doing this, they've never done it before?
When's the best time to start? Now. Yesterday. Second best time now. Right? Here's the thing. They're going to have questions, most likely. Call your manager. Okay. And that gets into like, how do you write this? How do you close this? I close and do stuff a little bit different, so we'll figure out how to do this. That's your thinking bigger, right? So what were the two questions? Yep. Okay. So you'll see if you ask somebody, that's going to make them think bigger.
So we ask them this after they,
If they own or run a business. Yeah.
but if they're like, oh, I don't have anybody that will get for it. that's what we
Yeah,
do.
if there's like there's nobody, then you're wasting your time and their time to be talking about this, right? They need to go, yes, I own or run a business. Yes, I have important people that would hurt that I lost them or that really help run it. Yes, I want tax write-offs. Then you go, hey, if I were to reward you for doing something now that you know you're going to do later, that's something you would consider. That's something you'd be opposed to, right? Okay, everybody with me? Kathy, were you? This was my job, so if not, totally fine. Were you able to find the specials? And okay.
I already posted in our group.
Okay, perfect. So what's the group?
That's the Alliance Group.
Okay, so Kathy just posted something in the Alliance group me. I'm teaching this totally blind, so it'll be kind of interesting. Open what Kathy just posted in the Alliance. Woo! And then maybe I can see.
Yeah, she'll screen share. So,
Perfect.
this is just the package.
Perfect. All right, so we were curious if there are specials and what to recommend for gifts, right? Yes? Okay. Yeah, I probably lost all y'all because you're gonna just want to scroll through this. Has anybody seen this before? Okay. All right, so what I would do is it's a PDF. So save that PDF electronically. If you're doing in-person demos, print it, go over it in person, right? You can go over it. Only I'm trying to scroll on my computer and it is on yours. All right, y'all. So recommendations, really recommendations on what to suggest to them. I don't want to get too much into this because it's a little bit in depth, but you really want something that has a lot of engraving space, right? That they're going to use all the time. So what I mean by this, how much can you engrave on a paring knife? Not very much. How much can I engrave on this slice and serve? More than a paring knife, right? Okay. Slice and serve gets used once or twice a year. Paring knife gets used all the time. Okay, so now there's an in-between on this game. I don't want to get too much into this. What do y'all sell a lot of the knives? Trimmers, spreaders, shears. Give me a fourth one. Spatula, trimmer, shears, chef knife, party slicer, petite santoku, right? Are those all good gifts? If your clients are using them in their house, are they good gifts? Yeah. Do they have a lot of engraving room on all those? Perfect. There you go. There are your 4 or 5. Whatever you sell a lot of that has engraving space, that's what you should probably suggest. Now, if they're asking you as the expert, well, what do you think? That's what you tell them. Okay. Now, if they have something in mind, what do you think they might be shopping based on? Price, right? What have you given in the past? You have some idea what they like about it, right? What gifts have you given in the past? And how much did you invest, not spend, invest per gift? Okay. How much do you invest? You can even take it out of gifting, right? Because are they worried about the gift or are they worried about not losing their people? It's all about your people, right? If y'all ever go into like branch management, district management, just remember WIIFT. And like it's all about your people. Okay.
You said how much do they?
How much do you invest? Because they're worried about not losing people. So how much do you invest per relationship? And I guarantee you, you're going to probably ask them a question they've never really thought of that way. And yes, I know we're here to just sell like 10 or 20 or 40 grand of knives for SC2. I understand that. This is what I do every day, all day. So I get it. I'm teaching a little bit deeper, right? But they don't want to lose relationships. So how much do you invest per relationship? They may tell you a number. They may go, I don't know. You're like, well, what do you think is reasonable to spend per person? Okay. what are they gonna say? 50, 100, 250, 1,000, right? Somewhere, depending on the business. And then what do? You go find them a gift that's what? In their price range. We talked about it before price. Big engraving. And used every day or used often, right? So if y'all have this price sheet that you're all looking at right now, and somebody tells you how much they want to spend, as the knife experts, can y'all figure out something that you can easily engrave that they'll use multiple times a week? Okay. Does that answer recommendation of gifts and specials? Okay. Thinking bigger, we already talked about how to close this up and write it. That's a good question. Kathy, do you have any thoughts on that?
What?
How to close and or write up a business gift order? So like if they're in the demo,
Yeah.
I don't know what it all looks like these days. That's why I'm asking.
Oh, I'm just put it online. It just depends on what, like, you'll probably write 2 orders, like, you'll
Yeah.
first being new, your guys' focus, like, all he does all day is to do business gifting. That's not where you're at yet.
Yeah.
So you're closing on your regular sale, you know, and like the business gift order will be a separate order because that is a business order, which they're gonna use as a tax write-off. So you're putting on like 2 separate
yeah,
orders.
yeah.
Cool. So the separate order will be for their customers, if they agree, whatever, like 2 separate orders.
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. So to write this up, it definitely needs to be a second order because it needs to be run through the business for tax purposes, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so you're gonna write up a second order. That's step 1. If you have any questions, go ahead and call your manager directly and just say, hey, we've got the other order closed, right? You really want your like in-home order closed before you start trying to close this other order. Worst thing, how bad would this be? Like they're like, yeah, I want a homemaker and I want 4 accessories and I run a business, and you start talking about the business and they're like, oh, I got to think about all this, and then you don't get your homemaker order.
Yep, you don't want that.
How bad would that be? It's pretty bad, right? Okay. So again, remember when I said most of these take another appointment? Close your first order. And if they're like, oh my God, I want you to hit this, let's do it. Mrs. Jones, I got my phone right here with my calendar. When would make sense for me to come up to the business? We'll talk about it then. Probably the easiest
By the way,
thing to do.
some people will do it on the spot.
Yeah,
That's
so,
the
some
thing.
will. I'm not saying they
Some will say
won't.
they're like, oh, I
Yeah.
want 10 of these. I know I
Yeah.
want 10 of these, but I want to talk about more to do
Yeah.
da-da-da-da.
And if they're like, let's do it right now, write up a second order.
Mhm.
Okay. Can we, Molly, can we scroll down to the bottom of this somewhere? Like very bottom. That's the end of it. Okay. Yeah, the easiest thing to do is just like call your manager, right? Because there's going to be logo, there's going to be engraving. Y'all don't want to learn this. You got way too many other good nuggets from other people. Like these are things that you just call your manager and they'll help you figure it out. Okay. Can everybody write up a second order and call their manager and say, hey, I have a business gift. They're considering business gifts. Can we do that? Okay. Is there anything else left on this I did not answer? Good. Okay. And everybody, including on the Zoom, has the specials. Okay. That's all I got.
Awesome. Wanna open for
I'm gonna
questions?
go see if I can go close a lender doing $64 million of business in 6 minutes, 5
Yeah,
minutes.
You
So,
gotta run. Do you want to fill any questions or
I mean,
anyone have a quick question?
and take 1, maybe 2. Good. All right.
All right, good night, Blonde. Thank you. Close, big sale.